Hello, it's Martin again. And in this video, I wanted to talk about the naivety of going self-employed when I first started my business. Because when you go self-employed, I think you have this thing that you believe that as soon as you're self-employed, you're going to have work come flowing in. But in reality, that's not really the case. You have to do a little bit of work prior to going self-employed before you go self-employed, if that makes sense. Because work doesn't just appear. And the reason why it doesn't just appear is because no one knows you. And you're basically, although you've worked perhaps for shops or whatever, it's now your business and your own business. So you have to go on. People will come to you, not where you were before, if you see what I mean, if that makes sense. So I think one of the things that I found when I first went self-employed, I was actually quite lucky because I worked for a family-run shop where I did my apprenticeship. And at the time when I completed my apprenticeship, I think it was several months after that, quite a few months after that in actual fact, the guy that trained me decided, and he spoke to me about it, he decided that he wanted to go self-employed. He didn't want to work for the shop anymore. And luckily, of course, I'd finished my apprenticeship, so I was taught correctly and I had enough skills in my trade to continue myself without someone overlooking my shoulder. So when he went self-employed, the shop itself, or the family-run business shop, decided that they didn't want to employ people anymore. And he spoke to me and said that, would I be okay to go, what about considering going self-employed? Well, at that time, I was only 20. I didn't think about going self-employed. So he actually pushed me into going self-employed. But for me, it was the right decision. And the reason being is that he said that if I go self-employed, then all the work that comes his way, he will give to me as a subcontractor, which a lot of us, that's how we work quite often, is as subcontractors. So I had a ready market in the beginning, so I was lucky. I then branched out to doing other contracts, but in the beginning I was lucky to have work come my way. But when you first go self-employed, you have to understand that, work, and more often than not, work won't just come to you because, like I said, no one knows you. So the first thing you really need to do, and this is prior to going self-employed, in my opinion, this is only going from my experience, is that you need to make sure that you're letting people know at least probably 6 months before you go self-employed. And that can be easily done with just telling your friends, your family, their friends, and just getting everybody to pass the word round that you are now a self-employed person running your own business. That will help. And also perhaps a little bit of advertising in the beginning, because obviously you want to keep your costs down, of course. So I think before you go self-employed, you have to understand that you need to get certain things in place prior to going self-employed, and also maybe a little bit of research. I'm not saying that will deter you, but sometimes a little bit of research helps. Like, who is your competition? How many people out there doing your job? You know, what sort of reputation do they have? You know, so all those things are quite important, I think, in the beginning to start looking into prior to going self-employed. And I think if you do that, if you make, I mean, there's no guarantees, of course there's no guarantees. It's a bit like when you move somewhere different. When you move somewhere different as a self-employed person, you're basically starting again in theory, because you then got to build another bit of reputation in a different area. So it's the same kind of thing, and this is what's happened to me over a few years. You know, I've had that. So if you're thinking of going self-employed, if you're a youngster wanting to go self-employed, do start putting yourself about in the way of trying to advertise yourself to as many people as possible. Do your research, check on competition. What are they doing? What are they not doing? Where is your market? You know, all those sort of things. Where are you aiming for? What are you trying to aim for in terms of who you're trying to market to? All these things, I think, you need to put in place prior to going self-employed. And if you can do that, I think, like I said, there's no guarantees, but I think it will help you in the beginning, because you don't want to be going self-employed and sitting down waiting for the phone to ring all day, every day, for a few days. You want to find yourself some work. And of course, you know, there are subcontract work. So you can go to shops, you can go to lots of places to, you know, let them know where you are, what you do, and all those sort of things. So that, yeah, that's it. I just wanted to sort of, you know, let you know about, from my own experience, about, you know, if you're going self-employed, you need to put certain things in place. And if any of you've got any comments, or if you're like me, you've been a self-employed person for many, many, many years, and you've got some interesting comments, or you've got some ideas what happened to you when you went first in self-employed, or if you've got even some advice to give, would be great. So once again, thank you for listening to this video. I will be doing another one next week, and the idea is to try and help in the field of being self-employed. So let us know your comments. Love to hear from you. But for now, bye for now.